If you're like me, you love a fantastic single-player story to delve into, especially with the winter months now setting in. Xbox Game Pass provides us with a large pool of amazing games, and there are some phenomenal single-player games as part of the service. Today, I will whittle down the 20 best single-player games you have to play right now on Xbox Game Pass. This is Fletcher from Xbox Nation. Subscribe for more Xbox content every single day, and let's delve deep into these heart-pounding experiences. First, we have a game that got released last year, and it was even in contention for a Game of the Year shout, and that is the phenomenal A Plague Tale Requiem. This game follows siblings Amicia and Hugo who must look for a cure to Hugo's blood disease in southern France. You will not only have to flee from the soldiers of the Inquisition, but also avoid the hordes of rats that are spreading the Black Plague. This game has some outstanding visuals and some of the best available on the Xbox Series consoles, but besides this, the game's narrative is fantastic and will really hook you with its intense scenarios. Now, Doom 2016 revitalized interest in this grandfather FPS series, but Doom Eternal entirely redefined its formula. Already known for its fast-paced action and demon-slaying antics, Eternal ramped up all of that exponentially. The glory killing and shotgunning of foes became far more tactical, as certain demon types required specific weapons to defeat, and ammo counts across the board took a nosedive. There is no other FPS game in the genre that requires split-second chess moves like the way that Doom Eternal does, and add to that the improved story environments and tougher challenges to complete, and Doom Eternal was one hell of a game on the Xbox Game Pass library. Psychonauts 2 dropped onto Game Pass within the last couple of years, and we finally got to see the masterpiece that Tim Schafer has been working years towards. It is a fantastic game and finally gets us back in the shoes of Raz and lets us explore some wonderful and truly unique trippy worlds. The game got high praise upon release and cannot be recommended enough for being one of the best experiences available on the Xbox Series consoles. If you're a fan of open world platformers with an excellent and engaging story, then you'll need to give this game a go right now. When Persona 5 joined Game Pass, it easily became one of the best JRPGs on the service. We finally got to experience the masterpiece that was stuck on PlayStation for so long, and boy oh boy, was it worth the wait. I think it's at no surprise though that the game was always going to be amazing, since it's the fifth installment in such a popular franchise by Atlas, and it's probably one of the best games of the franchise to date. If you don't know much about this game, then you will don the mask and join the Phantom Thieves of Hearts as they stage grand heists, infiltrate the minds of the corrupt, and make them change their ways. It's a long game with a ton of content to delve into, but it's worth every single minute. Assassin's Creed has provided us with some great titles over the past decade, with the likes of Assassin's Creed Black Flag and my personal favourite, Assassin's Creed 3. Now we have a couple of new additions onto Game Pass, but by far my favourite, and a fan favourite amongst many gamers out there, is Assassin's Creed Origins. This game really shook up the traditional gameplay nature of the original games and introduced us to the first time of RPG mechanics with enemy leveling, armor and weapons, and dropped us into the gorgeous world of ancient Egypt. The story of the game is fantastic and really sets the backdrop for the sand-swept world, and Ubisoft really nailed down the RPG elements to create one awesome open world game. If you love expansive games with incredible branching storylines and hundreds of hours of content, then you need to pick up and play the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. This package is incredible, and it includes all the single player base content and over 40 DLC packs from every single Mass Effect game. The best thing about this package is that all the games have been remastered and optimized for 4K and run at 60 FPS across both the Xbox Series consoles. The Mass Effect trilogy is renowned for its deep and immersive storytelling and will captivate you with its rich lore and memorable characters. The games are some of the best action storytelling experiences ever made, and you will need to play them if you haven't done so already. A big surprise this year, which I know many think should have been in the Game of the Year nominees, is the highly rated and outstanding Hi-Fi Rush. We have all seen the media coverage about this game, and it is one every gamer needs to play right now if you haven't done so already. You will follow a young 20-year-old called Chai who becomes a defect after a mishap with his arm surgery. You will follow him around this rhythm-based cartoon-inspired world and defeat the evil Megacorp. The soundtrack alone is fantastic, but the blend of gameplay, world building and animation make it one of the best Xbox exclusives in in years. Now, Deathloop is not your typical first-person shooter, as you can very much stealth your way through every area of the game. Colt Vaughn, our time loop breaking protagonist, can sneak his way round in his attempt to kill all the visionaries on the island of Black Reef. Deathloop features a variety of guns that have a blend of old-timey and modern looks to them, and if shooting your way through all those Eternalists is still not loud enough for you, you can add one of the most satisfying kick mechanics in history to the gaming mix. It has one of the best storylines ever made by a Bethesda game, and is more measured than your average FPS, but is brilliant in its execution. One game that I know is getting back in form multiplayer-wise and has a very good single-player story mode is Halo Infinite. Multiplayer has been massively reworked since release, and playing around in Forge is just incredible. However, this is a list of great single-player games, and the campaign breathes fresh air into the franchise and does not disappoint. 343's marriage of an open-world game with that classic Halo DNA might seem like an unlikely pairing at first, but experiencing Infinite's campaign firsthand is something of an eye-opener concerning Halo's vast potential. Narratively, players get to experience the Master Chief's most personal story to date as he journeys across Zeta Halo to defeat the remarkably credible threat of the Banished. Before we dive into the remaining 10 games on this list, we are running a Black Friday promotion over at xboxnation.co.uk, and you can use code BLACKFRIDAY to get 5% off any game, gift card or Game Pass subscription. Thank you again for your continued support. Now let's dive back into these remaining 10 excellent narrative adventures. Now, if you actually get any time to step away from these excellent games so far, then our next title is the outstanding Souls-like experience called Lies of P. Lies of P is a thrilling Souls-like that takes the story of Pinocchio and it sets it against the darkly elegant backdrop of the Belle Epoque era. As you'd expect from a game labelled as Souls-like, there's a heavy emphasis on combat throughout the game. You'll be able to develop a unique style to counter enemies by weaving together weapon combinations, utilising your Legion arm, which you can upgrade throughout the game, and activating the abilities you develop along the way. The story alone is incredibly intriguing and goes very much in depth about Pinocchio, and it's definitely worth a play if you really like Souls-like experiences. Starfield is an open-world RPG where you aren't just free to explore a sprawling continent, but an entire universe. You'll be piloting a ship of your own design between planets to define your place in the stars. If you're a fan of games like Skyrim and Fallout, then you're gonna love this one due to its open-ended design, freeform approach to character building, and one of the best stories in a Bethesda game to date. It may not be the prettiest game ever made, but it will keep you fixed for hours with its weird and wonderful quests. The big issue though with Starfield is the amount of loading screens, but seeing past this, you are getting an engrossing RPG experience with more depth than any other previous Bethesda titles. Definitely a great game to launch yourself into if you like an engaging single-player role-playing game. On the 29th of August of this year, we had an excellent release that many JRPG lovers have been clamoring for, and that is Sea of Stars. This is a turn-based RPG heavily inspired by the classic games of old back in the 90s and early 2000s. It tells the story of two children of the solstice who will combine their powers of the sun and moon to perform eclipse magic. The developers have modernized the classic RPG in terms of turn-based combat, storytelling, exploration, and interactions with the environment. They do this all while still offering a hearty slice of nostalgia and good old simple fun. It was a fantastic modernization of such a classic formula, and one that is incredible to play through. Next up, we have one of my favorite Star Wars games to have ever graced the gaming sphere, and that is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. We had the release of Jedi Survivor earlier this 2023, and until this game arrives on the Game Pass, you can play through the excellent first entry right now. In this game, you will take control of a brand new Jedi Padawan who narrowly escaped the purge of Order 66 following the events of Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. You will go across the galaxy to rebuild the Jedi Order, as well as rediscover your shattered past. This story is one of the best told in the Star Wars universe, and was expertly crafted by the developers at Respawn, and easily fits in some of the best games available on Game Pass today. One game that we also got courtesy of EA that landed onto Game Pass only a couple of months ago was the fantastic and horrifying Dead Space Remake. If there is a definition of a faithful remake which provided gamers with an elevated horror experience, experience, then it's certainly this game. With its stunningly redesigned spaceship, smartly and subtly enhanced story, and spectacularly reimagined action scenes, Motive Studio has managed to successfully breathe new life into the seminal sci-fi horror universe of Dead Space. The developers have very carefully balanced innovation and renovation with preservation, and to their credit, the end result is undoubtedly the definitive way to experience one of the best survival horror shooters of all time. The Outer Worlds graced us all when it was released back in 2019, and again is another title from the also well-known Obsidian. We have all seen the masterpiece that was Fallout New Vegas, and this title certainly takes the best bits of Obsidian's world building and puts it into a whole new unique experience. You will explore a space colony where your character will determine how this player-driven story unfolds. You can experience a multitude of choices, dialogue options and endings, and no way is one playthrough enough to experience the full game. This game is very highly rated amongst fans and critics alike, and upon putting hours in myself, it is very clear to see why. We have probably one of the biggest surprise hits of 2022 on this list, but I think to be fair, many never expected Obsidian to ever miss. Pentan is a one-of-a-kind game with its medieval manuscript style visuals and over-the-top hilarious humour. I don't think many of us saw a project coming out of Obsidian such as this, especially since their last game was the previously mentioned The Outer Worlds. You will take control of Andreas Mahler, a master artist who finds himself in the middle of murders, scandals, and intrigue in the Bavarian Alps. The writing is fantastic, and yes, although the game does not have much in the way of voice acting, the narrative direction is second to none. The user scores don't lie with this one of how great the game is, so definitely give it a go. Hellblade is an incredible experience, and I really don't think much else needs to be said other than that. Every man, woman and dog has heard of this game, and it's simply one of the best narrative experiences to ever grace the gaming stratosphere. This puts players in the shoes of Senua as she delves into the depths of Helheim to save the souls of her dead lover. The unique premise is the game's ability to portray psychosis in such a perfect way, and it really makes players understand the mental illness in a way not yet seen before. This game is best played with headphones, as many gamers including myself make this a must play. Roll on Hellblade 2 when it arrives sometime onto Xbox Game Pass within the next year. Our next title is an indie that captured everybody's hearts when it was released, and that is none other than Hollow Knight. You may have come across this game with its rage-inducing gameplay, and safe to say there are many clips out there of gamers being enraged by this game. You may be wondering why it's on this list of the best single-player Game Pass games for that matter, but the gameplay loop, platforming and varied bosses make the game so addictive and one of the best indie experiences we've seen in years. We always get some great indie experiences through the years, but Hollow Knight really takes the crown for a perfect execution. When you play this game, you will certainly realise why so many out there can't wait for this next release of Silksong very soon. Titanfall was already a relatively low-key masterpiece at the time of its release, but the sequel simply polished what was already an often overlooked diamond. Of particular note is Titanfall's 2 campaign, weaving a compelling story around the duo of a rookie pilot and your lovable Titan, BT. I have never felt such an attachment to characters in an FPS game, but Titanfall 2 really executes this with style. The other main highlights include Titanfall 2's well-crafted weapon sandbox and smooth as butter traversal mechanics that make movements itself as fun as the gunplay. This really was a great experience made by Respawn and really solidified why they are some of the best game developers in the industry. Now, Planet of Lana was a game that I was incredibly hyped for this year, as it looked like a gorgeous indie title. This is a cinematic puzzle adventure game with some of the most gorgeous visuals we have seen from an indie title. You will take control of a young girl with a loyal friend and embark on a rescue mission. There is essentially a faceless army that is bringing disharmony to this beautiful and vibrant planet, and it's your job to find out why and stop the war. This vibrant and gorgeous title came out earlier this year to some fantastic reviews and is now a must-play title for any Game Pass subscriber or Xbox owner. Do you have a favourite single-player game that you can recommend for Game Pass subscribers? Let me know yours in the comments below, especially if you feel that I've left one off this incredible list. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe for more Xbox content every single day. Whilst here, check out the video on screen now of the 30 best day one games coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2024.